Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a all new episode of Dance with Wine. I'm your host, Brock. Today's wine of choice is going to be Berlayer Rosé. It's a very sparkling, sweet wine, and also, most importantly, it's very affordable. On today's episode that we have planned, we'll be interviewing one of the hottest choreographers, dancers, Mr. Sauce King himself, Marc Marvelous. How are you?
I'm Marc Marvelous, representing Brooklyn, New York. Flatbush, stand up.
I just wanna dance among the stars. I just wanna dance among the stars. These after hours got me charged.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Just want to say, to get started, you've been a big inspiration to myself and many others. So yes, an amazing opportunity to just get a chance to sit here and talk to you. You know what I'm saying?
Word up, man. Cheers to that.
Yes. So question one I have for you is, how was it growing up for you? Like, let's say between the ages of 1 and 15.
Well, for me, it was. I would honestly say it was entertaining. Would probably be the best name for it. It was never a dull moment. I think personally. I'm born and raised from Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
From Flatbush, and my parents, both my parents are from Barbados. So my entire family is West Indian. And I've, growing up in Brooklyn, that's all I know. All I knew was soca music and dance hall and, just Caribbean food. Like it was just that for me. Both my parents, they're still together to this day. Actually, they actually retired and moved out to Atlanta. I actually grew up with an older brother. I have two older brothers right now. I actually had three older brothers and a sister. Mm-hmm. One of my older brothers, he was murdered when I was at the age of 11.
Wow.
But that was actually the brother I was growing up with. So
Yeah.
when I was born, like he was, 15 years older than me, but he was helping take care of me. So like, just watching that kind of changed my whole energy as a kid. And I just realized that, everything is not really meant forever.
Yeah.
So I started like just praying more, trying to find God on my own,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily through my family, but it was more so for me personally. In that sense, dance ended up being a little getaway for me. Like it was just kind of like, I didn't really talk much when it came to my family because my dad is, super Caribbean and super strict on everything. So it was like, all right, man, I'm gonna just take it to the room and just hit these beats real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, just I always felt like Brooklyn was its own world compared to everyone else outside of, even compared to the rest of New York. It was just, we weren't like Queens or the Bronx or anywhere else. We're completely different. Like it was like, yo, you have a variety of every culture in one borough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From any country is you're in Brooklyn. Like you can find it. It was never like, the Jamaicans live over here. It was never like that. It was like, yo, you got about 7 Guyanese people on one block. Then you got the other Bajans over there. And you got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was all diverse. And, that's what I grew up knowing and seeing.
Okay, bet. How were you introduced to dance, and what were some of your first dance experiences?
Well, I was about 10, maybe 9. Okay, no. The way I was really introduced to dance, honestly, I was 5, and It was Michael Jackson. Like, I was, this is back when it was like the thing, like you know, he was the hottest artist, and it was like, yo, he can come up with a HBO special. Like, well, everybody was. It's like the world just stops, and you just want to tune into HBO because Michael Jackson's gonna do his full concert on HBO. And I remember watching him, and I really just watched him. I didn't get into the dancers too much because I was like, he's better than his dancers. You know what I'm saying? I was like, he's way saucier than everybody. But that's what introduced me to dance and made me want to kind of move like him and be creative. I didn't necessarily think of it like, oh, I want to be a dancer. It was never that for me. It was just like, I just really enjoyed him. And but in Brooklyn, it was the disconnect was I don't look like him. The disconnect for me was in Brooklyn, it's not that. It's not pop music. You know what I'm saying? It's dancehall. It's really dancehall. Brooklyn was all dancehall. Like, you know what I'm saying? We played soca music here and there, but it was just dancehall. Jamaicans was rampant. So my brother at the time, him and my older cousins, they were old enough to go to the clubs and all that. So they would like, you know, learn the dancehall dances. Like this is when like the bogle just came out. I know a lot of people don't know what the bogle is, but look it up. Okay, it's a dancehall dance that was done by everybody. And in the club, he was trying to. I remember he learned it in the club, and he came home like, and you know, I seen him the next day, and he was like showing me the dance, and I was, you know, I'm like 9-10 years old, and I'm like a little chubby kid, so I'm just like trying to learn how to move, and I'm like, I don't understand how to do this, like, but my cousins are all like killing it, you know what I'm saying? And then like it was crazy because like my older cousin Junior, he used to go by Uptown Records a lot. Like he used to, like as a kid, like he was, you know, a teenager, but he used to always like, that was just like, it was like the thing, like, cause they were like, you know, they were hot back then. So like kids, like if you would fly, you was trying to be around like the hottest, you know, Heavy D and the hottest people around. Like you was hanging out by the building. Like you was like, kids were just hanging out over there, like, you know, dancing, trying to get into a video or whatnot. And that was my cousins like doing that. You know, as a kid, I remember like watching, they'll come home and all we watch is music videos. So I'll be sitting there watching these dances and watching these, you know, music videos with them, just like really just because I wanted to hang out with my older cousins. It was never like, ooh, I thought it was fresh. I always thought my cousins were like the flyest people ever, and my brother, like they just, you know, they were cross-colored out. They had on all the denim fits, the freshest like clothes that I could never have because I was only 10 years old and my mom would never let me dress like that, right? But they were the ones that first introduced me to dance. I didn't think of it even then. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to be like them. But then it was like, I think God was kind of like showing me like spoon feeding it to me a couple times, because he was like, all right, you ain't biting yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give it to you again later. And like later on, like a few years, you know, after my brother passed, I started, I said my brother probably just gave me the spirit, but after he passed, it just kind of clicked for me. I started like just understanding dance a little more. I started understanding how to use my body a little more. Like, I think I got to, it was like junior high school. I was like at the age of 12. I ended up, my junior high school wanted to try out a dance class. So, you know, in 7th grade, they gave us the opportunity of saying, well, if you want to take gym class, you can take gym class, or you can take this hip hop class that we're trying out, you know, for the school year. And I decided to try out this hip hop class to see what it was about, and ended up learning how to pick up choreography, learning what choreography was. I mean, I didn't comprehend it. I just understood. I just love movement, so I would just do what the teacher, you know, taught us, and she was doing it to all my favorite music. So it was like, yeah, let's do it. It was fun. So that, I would say that's how I pretty much got introduced to it.
Okay, bet. So instead of, you know, having an agent or agency, y'all just went straight to the record label.
Yeah. They was. It was, well, back in those days, my cousins, you know, they didn't really have agencies. Like dancers used to get a lot of money. Back then, it wasn't these dancer alliance rates. It was more than that. Yeah, it was more than the minimum. Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward a little bit, how did you get started in doing your own choreography?
Oh man. Well, I had to find myself. I started teaching at Broadway Dance Center in New York. It was random. Like people. First, I started off with this dance company. It was called Blade Dance Company. They had another friend of mine was already part of their company, and I used to just come around just to hang out. And the director there was like, "Yo, you should come and teach dance hall since you're so dope in dance hall. We would love to have a teacher here." So I was like, "All right, cool." So I ended up teaching dance hall classes. That's how I first got into the game of just trying to learn how to make up eights.
Yeah.
and try to figure, and it was a little difficult because with dance hall, especially the way I dance to dance hall and where I come from with it is, it's not a basic 6, 7, 8. Sometimes it's a lot more grooves, and I didn't know how to explain those grooves at those times. But it took me a while to just figure out and see. Once I see it on other people and I see how people were doing it wrong, I was like, okay, I gotta re-explain this a better way for everyone to understand. It took me a little minute to get there, but I started figuring it out, and then I started realizing like you can't give everybody everything because everybody's not gonna just pick up like that. So I had to like pull back and understand like, okay, take some of the movement that they do understand, which is simpler, and then add on the other stuff that I can make to make it tastier.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, so from doing your own choreography, what would you say are some of your most proud jobs?
Oh, man.
You got so many of them.
Yeah. Oh, man. I would say, Usher would be one. And these are choreography jobs, correct?
Any?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Coachella with Beyonce, I would definitely put that down. I'm actually, you know what? It's funny. Somebody asked me this other question one time. I'm actually proud of myself for this one, this film I choreographed, and it wasn't even a dance film. It was a romantic comedy with Marc Wahlberg. It was just this random scene. It was a demolition. It was for the movie's called Instant Family, and it was just a demolition scene. The director wanted the scene to feel like a father-daughter dance, and he had no idea how to make it feel like that without really dancing. So I just, by the luck of God, I got the phone call, and I knew some people because I had worked on another film with their assistant director, and they reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, I can figure out something. And he absolutely loved it, and I ended up basically just choreographing like a dance video, and I sat down with the director, and we looked at it, and he was like, okay, now let's not make it dance. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just took certain transitions out. We used certain transitions as opposed to making it feel like choreography, right? And I just, it came out really dope. Like to see it and to just thinking of how I created it was like, wow, like, especially because Mark Wahlberg was like, I'm not dancing. He was definitely Marky Mark was definitely not dancing. And I was like, I'm a big fan of him. So I was like, I don't want to be like the guy that's, so you're going to make me dance? Like, you're going to make me dance, dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to be that guy. But it worked out really well. I'm super proud of that one. Also, Super Bowl with Usher was dope. I'm grateful that I even got the chance to choreograph for Usher.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely one of the artists that, growing up, I was like, man, I want to work with that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he inspired a lot of, him and his team inspired a lot of me, including Michael Jackson. Yeah, a lot.
Like Michael Jackson, then Usher for a lot of us.
Exactly. So it was just an honor to, just be able to kind of just sprinkle a little something from my experience on his stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we definitely see that influence. Like, when we watch his tours now. So
Word.
good job with that. So my next question would be, do you miss dancing on tour, or would you rather be the creative director or just a choreographer for a tour?
That's a good question. I I I love traveling. I love traveling. I love the opportunities that dance was giving me on tour. I I would say no, only because my heart has fell in love with creating, and I know for me personally, I always look at it as, it's time to, roll out the carpet for the next generation.
Okay.
Like allow the next, the next dope leading male dancer to come up and, be that guy. You know what I'm saying? This generation right now is a lot different. You have social media and stuff, so like the following is, incredible right now. So for someone to come up and want to be on tour dancing and, the type of, filming and stuff you can do from that and the doors they can open from that is like crazy right now. So I would honestly love to just be the creative director, and I would still go.
Yeah.
I would still go and put up the show, but I do want to go back home to my family. So yeah.
Okay. So that leads me actually straight to my next question. Have you ever felt like you didn't want to dance anymore or just pursue other things?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it straight. When I had lived in LA for like 8 years, I felt like I moved to Atlanta in 2015. So before that, I felt like I was on this like hamster wheel, just working. Like I was just, every time I get home, somebody call me, 8 block or whatever my dance agent call me up and be like, yo, we got another job, come do this. And it's like I'm grateful, but I was like, y'all know I choreograph too, and it was like I wasn't getting those choreography jobs. I wasn't getting the respect as a choreographer at that time, and I felt like I needed to, step away because it just I felt tired. I felt like, okay, this is, I didn't want to be dancing on jobs forever. Like I didn't want to be just known for, oh, you're that dancer. Like it was like, yeah, I could do more than that though. I act as well. Like, and it's like I needed to get closer to those opportunities. So I had, I just me and my wife packed our stuff up and moved to Atlanta, and it's funny because as soon as I did that, everybody started like respecting me more as a choreographer. And it was like, oh, this is what your work looks like. Oh, and it was like, I've been trying to show y'all this forever. Like, why y'all ain't see it when I was in LA? So now I got to step away. Okay, great. So it's and sometimes it takes that. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I just felt like I felt burnt out as a dancer. I was like, I didn't want to one day be in rehearsal and injure myself because it was like, yo, man, you should have gave it up a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't think will ever happen, but just you got to know your time and know when it's time to grow, because you can. It is possible to oversaturate yourself with one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So how has fatherhood changed you and your career? Because that's a change.
It's a big change, man. First, it's no sleep. I mean, I was always a late night person, but
Most dancers.
that's when you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you have to, it's a little different. No, fatherhood has changed me. I would honestly say in the choices that I make now. Everything is them first. You know what I'm saying? My family first. Everything I do, I have to run by my family first. It's like, hey, they want to do an interview if you want to dance and wine. Babe, can I just take the car and just get it out real quick? You mind? It's that kind of thing. But no, but honestly speaking, like if I can't just pick up and leave like I used to. Like, at one point I was getting a lot of jobs overseas, and it was like, I can't just come over to Japan for a month like that. I gotta kind of figure things out, before I leave, and then, if it works out, yeah. And if it doesn't, then it's like, we gotta figure something else out. Yeah, I mean, it's also made me want to pick choices that are more consistent and more sustainable for me to have a family.
Yeah.
I can't just pop up and do like regular classes or regular things for, you know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of got to make my schedule open for my children and my wife. So
Yeah, they come first, definitely.
yeah.
All right. What do you love most about dance, and how has that changed your life?
Man, well, dance has changed my life. First of all, I didn't know dancers got paid. I never was like, oh my God, I want to be a dancer so I can live my life and do it. It was never that. I never knew it was possible. And then to see the doors that has been opening and opening and opening, not just for me, but for other dancers that I know, it's like, wow, like dance is incredible. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny to me because it's like, as I say that, there are people out there that still look at dancers as like the bottom of the totem pole. And it's like, yo, we're actually an engine, man. We're actually driving, we're driving forward. We're just as strong as the DJs. And it's like, people gotta get that. They gotta get that together. Like, if you still thinking that we're like that, then you have an old school way of thinking, and you gotta change that. It's definitely changed my life in seeing. I'll tell you this. I remember when I first this is hilarious. When I first got so the Elephant Man video years back, Pond River.
Yes.
that was one of my first videos, being a dancer, but I also ended up being an assistant choreographer to Tanisha Scott on that. And it was funny because I remember getting a phone call from her. I think her sister had called me. She was helping her out, and she called me and was like, we would like to book you for, the Elephant Man video. And I was like, okay, cool. And mind you, I'm like 20 years old, and I ain't never got paid to dance.
Yeah.
Not real money. It was like, okay, I'm just coming. Really, no, I actually never got paid. It was all free videos I was doing just for exposure, and And she called me and was like, yeah, so the budget's a little low, so we're only gonna be able to pay you $600 for the shoot, and I think it was like $250 for the rehearsal. And I literally started choking. I was like, excuse me, what? You want to what?
Yeah, like, oh, we're paying you.
You're gonna pay me to do what I do in the living room? Absolutely, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? That was like a mind blower for me. But that from going from that to then seeing dancers and choreographers that I knew back from New York that lived in LA and was like pushing trucks and like, living in houses and whatnot. And I'm just like, so you pay for all this for dance? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, oh yeah. I ain't about to work a regular job, man. I'm about to do this. You know what I'm saying?
This is it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then fast forward, I'm here now. I got a house, I got a car, I got 2 kids and a wife, and all paid for through dance.
Yeah.
Like, I never, from going from that to end up being one of the highest paid dancers on tour, you know what I'm saying? I've never, ever, I would have never, if I would have told myself this, like, back then, I wouldn't believe me. Like, it was like, how?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
All right. I really do love that. I feel like a lot of us, a lot of dancers, a lot of men, everybody, I feel like we all need to hear that. So I do want to thank you again for coming out. I want to thank y'all for viewing. Please post your comments, questions under this video. This has been an episode of Dance with Juan. I'm your host, Brock.